Mr. Chairman, I am delighted that we are having this hearing today. I thank you for this. And Ms. Wynne Williams, I want to thank you for stepping forward and for speaking. Senator Blumenthal and I last year brought forward the Kids Online Safety Act, and this is a piece of legislation we have worked on for years. It came through the Senate on a 91-3 vote. It failed in the House. As you would imagine, Meta spent millions of dollars lobbying against us and against the legislation, while at the same time they were claiming how much they cared for children and how they wanted to take care of children. And of course, one of the problems, as we have heard these heartbreaking stories from parents of trying to reach out to Meta, no response, of the cyberbullying that was taking place, the pleas from principals and child psychiatrists to do something, and yet they would not do it. And I noted in your book that you talked about Meta targeting children with ads based on their emotional state. And if you want to talk about something that is cruel, I'm a mom and a grandmom. And to kick a kid when they're down, that in essence is what it is kicking them while they're down. That is completely disgusting.
Imagine this. Your teenage daughter deletes a selfie because she's feeling insecure. Little does she know, Facebook, now Meta, is using that moment of vulnerability as a cash grab opportunity. Wynne Williams, a former Meta employee, just blew the whistle on some truly shocking practices. According to her, Meta knew teens were emotionally struggling, and instead of offering help, they targeted them with ads. Deleted a selfie?
And I find it so interesting that Mark Zuckerberg has said he's turned over a new leaf. My response to that was, leaves change color with the seasons of the year. And I am curious as to whether this is a season for him or if it is something that is truly going to be making a difference, and I think he should explain to us. He's been before this committee before, where he truly is. Now, one of the things we found out from other whistleblowers, and you mentioned in your book, that Meta's statement denying it engaged in targeting children was a flat-out lie, and the company had refused to audit these activities. We've heard that from other whistleblowers, that they were doing research and they knew what was happening, but they were so given to the dollar and having children as the product that themselves, children were addicted, but also Facebook and their leadership team had become addicted to the power that they held and to the money that they were making. But talk to me a little bit about your experience with Meta and how they would choose to cover up or deny that they were harming kids.
Thank you, Senator. One example is that Facebook was targeting 13 to 17-year-olds. It could identify when they were feeling worthless or helpless or like a failure, and they would take that information and share it with advertisers. One of the things about advertising is advertisers understand that when people don't feel good about themselves, it's often a good time to pitch a product. You know, people are more likely to buy something. And so what the company was doing was letting these advertisers know that these 13 to 17-year-olds were feeling depressed and saying, now's a really good time to serve them an advertisement. Or if a 13-year-old girl would delete a selfie, that's a really good time to try and sell her a beauty product. Or if a 13-year-old girl is...
So let me interrupt.
Deleted a selfie? That's their cue to push beauty products. Feeling depressed? Advertisers move in for the kill. Senator Marsha Blackburn didn't mince words. She called Meta's behavior completely disgusting. As a mom and grandma, she says Meta is essentially kicking kids while they're down. Here's the kicker. While Meta claims to care about kids, they're spending millions to kill the Kids Online Safety Act. But it doesn't end there. The whistleblower also revealed Meta's massive data collection. They're not just watching what you do on their apps. They're tracking your entire phone activity.
Let me interrupt
And
right
some of that
there. If she deleted a selfie, then Facebook was in essence, or Meta, Instagram, they were in essence tracking her activity online.
Absolutely. That was taken as a signal and then shared with advertisers.
So they didn't stay given specifically to their app. They traveled in the child's phone.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that. I think it points up some of the harm that is there. One of the things I wanted we've talked about China and their launch of apps, Facebook's apps in China. I wanted to see if you could elaborate on the type data that would be found on Facebook servers located in China and the broader implications of allowing the CCP to have access to that data.
Senator, I mean, we've just spoken in your last question about, just one example of the amount of information that this company has. It is unfathomable. It's very, very hard to wrap your mind around the amount of data that this company has on each person who logs on to its service. It's private messages, but so much data. And all of that would channel through a POP server.
So then it is not just limited. The data Facebook holds, or Meta holds, is not just limited to the Meta applications.
Not at all, Senator.
So basically, Meta has the...
And some of that data, it could end up on servers in China, possibly accessible by the CCP. We're not just talking about privacy violations here. This could be a national security issue. And here's the bombshell. Multiple whistleblowers say Mark Zuckerberg himself vetoed changes that could have protected kids. Why? Because it would have cost too much. If you're as outraged as I am, hit that subscribe button right now. We cover stories that the mainstream often buries. Let's hold big tech accountable, together. This isn't just about Meta. It's an entire business model.
So basically,
kids are
Meta
the product.
has the ability to build what I call a virtual you of an individual, where they go, the transactions they have, the different apps that they rotate from one to another. Is that accurate?
Absolutely, Senator.
Okay, thank you. I've got one other question I want to come to you on, and we have heard not only from you, but from others, that Mark Zuckerberg would veto recommendations from his team when it came to improving practices that would protect children or would protect data. And he would do this because he would say it was too costly. And I just find that astounding. In the physical world, we have laws that protect an individual's privacy. We have laws that protect children and protect them from being exposed to certain harms like alcohol, tobacco, sales, meeting predators, pedophiles. So I wanted to know if you had witnessed that he or the other C-suite were actually vetoing recommendations that would have provided consumer protection and protection of children in the virtual space.
Yes, Senator, and as a mother of 3 children, that's one of the more difficult aspects to reconcile with this company, that it is not a company that looks after users, particularly those 13 to 17, which they regard as vulnerable yet very valuable.
And then how long were you employed at Facebook and when was your last day?
I was employed from 2011 and it's slightly complicated, but I finished in the end of 2017.
2017. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Dermott. Thanks for being here. That reference that I opened up with, that you made in your book, to a strategy, a message strategy for Meta, and someone suggested
Kids are the
tobacco.
product. Their emotions are being sold. Their attention is being auctioned off to the highest bidder. And it's not a glitch, it's the strategy. Vulnerability equals profit. That's what the whistleblower laid bare. We need to start asking bigger questions. Who's protecting our kids online? And how much longer are we going to let companies like Meta operate without real accountability? Drop a comment below. Do you think Meta crossed a line here? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so more people see what's really going on. Stay safe, stay informed.